Hey everyone, it's Jenny. I'm here today with a very, very long day of me painting. And the first step that I do is sort them into what I'm going to paint with. So here on the left, let's see. It's like I know I sorted these into coffee, tea, and espresso. I know coffee's in the middle. I think espresso is on the left and tea is on the right, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, it definitely is. How do I know that? Oh God, who knows? But yeah, and I was like, so I just slowly go through them all. I did a lot of the last session that I did. I taped these all up and got them all ready to go. So yeah, it's gonna be all together on this day, and this was a few days ago. I've actually had to do some real job work. I know, lame, right? And it was the weekend, so I didn't do much. But yeah, I was like, it's gonna be a nice long, I think I spent maybe like 3 hours painting, which is too much to be filming, honestly. I should have done a smaller session in this day. Hey, you live and you learn. I'm figuring this out slowly. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing yet, but that's okay. I'm gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out together. So as you can see on the last set of paintings I did mostly tea. As you can see, I'm getting into a section that I did espresso on. And I usually want to layer in multiple different kinds, which is why a lot is going into that middle coffee pile. But yeah, I was like, it needs another layer. We're gonna, gut feeling as to what layer goes next. So, but anyways, I was trying to think of things to talk about today, as this is gonna be a nice, almost half-hour video. As I sped up the great majority of it pretty dang quickly, but turning 3 hours into a half hour is still a lot of video to go through. So, yeah, I was going to talk about me purchasing my home. That was something that I worked really hard on, and I took maybe about 4 years for me to save up enough for a down payment. To be really honest, my father also helped me. I was like, I did not do it completely alone, but most of it I saved on my own. And I bought a little house. It's like he wanted me to get a bigger house, which I am a single woman. And as I told him, it's like, Dad, why do I need a 3-bedroom 2-bath house? I can only sleep in one bed at a time and go to the bathroom in one toilet at a time. So I was like, I bought a house that was small and that I felt like I could afford by myself. And I'm really happy I did. It's a perfect, quirky little, it's a very old home. I believe in my state particularly, the records go back to 1900, and so my house is listed as a house from 1900, which means it's probably actually older, but they just don't have records any farther back than that. Let's see, today I started out with, that looks like coffee. But yeah, this is going to be really sped up. I'm going to be talking slowly while this is all super sped up. But I bought my house in the end of October of 2019, so right before the pandemic started. Thank God I got a house then, because oh my word. The housing market went real crazy after that. And yeah, so I was like, I have this gorgeous little 1-bedroom, 1-bath house in the city. It's very old. I guess the quirkiest part of it is that it doesn't have a basement, which in my state, most homes have basements. Mine has this really creepy little, it's like a crawl space, but it has the hatch in my kitchen floor that you open up and the little ladder that you descend down into this room that is 90% spiders and mouse trappings that has my furnace and my water heater in it and my electrical panel. So, yeah. That's the really weird, creepy part of my house, but everything else is wonderful. I have like an upstairs, the entire upper story of my house is one big open space. So it's like, I think 12 by 26. So it's very skinny and long, and there's the fireplace stack that runs up through the middle. It's really beautiful. And then it has like lofted raised ceilings with beams, and it's gorgeous. And I've absolutely loved my home. I was like, I'm naturally kind of a homebody. I just love being at home, and me buying a house also meant I used to live when I was in college, and when I just had my first job, I lived with my sister, which she's 4 years older than I am, and she was also kind of starting out her career whilst I was finishing school. We had both kind of, she was in the middle of grad school when my mother got sick with cancer, and I was kind of had barely started my undergrad at that point. And so we both ended up kind of taking time off to take care of my mother. So my sister was finishing, I think had just finished up her graduate program when we moved into that little duplex together. But yeah, I was like, I spent my first kind of 4 years of working, my first kind of adult quote unquote job, where I actually made like somewhat decent money. And I saved. With a little help from my dad, I ended up having enough to put 20% down on a house. And again, I could have qualified for a house that was probably twice what I bought. Well, maybe not twice, but pretty close to there. I didn't even want to have them tell me how much I would actually qualify for. But I bought my house at the end of 2019. Moved in, loved it. I mean, in the first week after I moved in, I took a week off of work because there's a young single guy who lived here before me, and he did some great upgrades to the house. Like, he redid the bathroom and he redid all the appliances, as he worked for an appliance warehouse type place. So it was like all new appliances, or almost all new appliances, and a freshly redone bathroom. Debatably, he did it himself, so I was like, the tile work isn't great. I don't love it, but it looks really nice other than that, and has great fixtures. Apparently his mom worked for like a really expensive bathroom and sink fixture place, because I think I looked up how much my bathroom sink, just the fixture, like the spout and handles were, and it was like $1,000. It's like beautiful antique brass looking stuff. But yeah, I was like, I have a whole beautiful set and a kitchen sink that I think, or the kitchen sink faucet costs like $500. It was like ridiculous. It's like one of the touch activated ones that like turns on and off with a touch, which my best friend hates because she can never do it right, and I've come to not hate so much. I kind of like it, but it's also like hard to deal with. You have to get used to it. It's not intuitive. But yeah, that's what my house is. But yeah, I took the first week of after I moved in off of work to repaint the house, because a bachelor was living here and he painted it, and he painted it like the most god awful, like pea soup green color. I don't know how else to say. It was like somewhere between like bile and vomit. It's just the grossest, like pea soup green is like the best way I can describe it. And so the entire downstairs, so kitchen, living room, dining room, everything was this ugly green color. So I was like, I literally went to like the closest home improvement store and just bought the first color paint. I didn't even like sample paints in order to find a color I really wanted. I was like, anything other than this stupid pea soup green color. And I of course picked the wrong color, but it was better than what was there. I've already repainted almost the entire house the second time because I'm embarrassed by that. But the upstairs, like on one end of the, the big long kind of upstairs area, one end I have my office and like my closet, like wardrobes for my closet, and the other end I have my bed. One of the ends was literally the wall was painted gold, like a metallic gold. And the problem with a 1900, like a 120 some year old house is that there is literally not a single right angle or flat surface. So if you're doing a metallic paint on something that is not a flat surface, like there's not a flat surfaced wall in my house anywhere. Quirks of an old house, but so yeah, it looked abysmal. And then there's skylights upstairs, and he painted the inside of the wells of the skylight like gold and blue, and it was awful. I just painted the whole thing like white with a little gray in it. And then I did an accent wall on one wall, which no one actually sees because it is so close to the like white color that I painted the rest of the house that you can barely tell, but I can tell. It's slightly like a dusty taupey gray. It's taupier than the white gray. It's very similar. I get why people can't tell the difference. Anyways, but yeah, I was like, that was... And then, of course, okay, so I took a whole week off of school. I've said this like 7 times. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. No, I took the whole week off of work. And on like day 2, my best friend, who lives like she lives like 8 blocks from me, is like, hey, do you want to go look at cats at the Humane Society? And I, like an idiot, was like, yeah, I can just go look. I'm not ready to buy a cat yet. But, I was like, I now live on my own. I can. Like, my sister wouldn't let me get a cat. And we were renting, too. So I would have had to pay a deposit and a bunch of other stuff. It just wasn't the right time. But anyways, we went and went to the Humane Society. We went in there, like, they have this big room that has all the cats in there. And we were just petting cats. There was a giant orange cat, like the fattest cat I think I've ever seen, named Garfield, because of course his name was Garfield. I remember that one. And we played and petted with cats, and I think there was like a group of like 3 or 4 high school students that were there, and they were also kind of in the room playing. And I'm super shy, and so I was like, I just kind of like stayed to myself. My best friend is very outgoing, so I remember she was chatting up with all the high school students who were like, yeah, well, we're just, after school, wanted to hang out with some pets and stuff like that. So eventually they left, and one of the girls, she had a cat in her arms the entire time. And I remember she's like, are you really looking to get a cat? And I was like, maybe one day. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready yet, but maybe. And she like reluctantly is like holding on to this cat, and she like reluctantly, as she was leaving, she like gets up and puts him in my arms, and she goes, he's perfect. She's like, I don't want to let him go. He's perfect, but I need to leave. And she was right. He was perfect. That's Earl. I ended up putting him on hold. And because I have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house, and my house is really quirky. So there's a single barn door that separates the upstairs and the downstairs. And there's like no doors that close downstairs except for the bathroom door. Or I guess there was a closet I could put the cats in to get them out of the way, but that seems cruel. So I was like, oh my God, I have to paint the entire house because I can't, like, he was like maybe 7 months old, so he's still a kitten. But I was like, I can't like isolate him anywhere because my house, you can't really do that. I was like, if I have like furniture being delivered or something, I have to put the cats in the bathroom, turn on a little faucet so it's dripping. They keep themselves entertained, but I try not to do that for very long. Yeah, and so I was like, I believe that was a Monday, and then the Humane Society was going to be closed on Tuesday, and so I could put him on hold until Wednesday. So I spent like a day and a half, literally, like a crazy person painting my house as fast as I humanly could, and I got the whole downstairs done. And so I was like, okay, I can kind of, I literally, ooh, and here's me. This is what happens. But after I finish one, is I just kind of throw them on the floor or in piles, not quite on top of each other because some of them are still a little wet. But yeah, I was like, and so I have this like nice giant pile of them at the end. But yeah, that's how I adopted Earl. That was not the story I was intending on telling, but that was the story that I did tell. And then eventually, eventually one day I ended up repainting almost my entire house as well. Because I didn't love the color I picked for the downstairs. So I've repainted everything except the kitchen, which I still need to repaint the kitchen. I don't love the color. It's like a really blonde kind of yellow tan. And of course I have like yellowy maple cabinets, so it's just too much yellow. I picked out a kind of redder tan brown taupey color. I think it's Sherwin-Williams Latte, if I remember, is the color that I painted most of my downstairs. I love it. Then I painted, so far I've put in a new front door, which I bought a purple one. Yeah, it's literally like a Cabernet, I think was the color that I chose. And it's because it was the only cool color that they offered, and I knew I was going to paint the door anyways. Because of course they're never going to offer a color that I like. So I actually painted the inside of the door like an olive green and left the purple door on the outside. And then the outside of my house is like this like peacock green color, and it looks really good with the like Cabernet purple door. I was like, I like neutrals in general, but I went crazy with that exterior color of my house. And it's beautiful. I love it so much. But yeah, I was like, I think that's the one thing I love about having my own house is I love just doing stuff with it. And I was like, I think I knew when I bought my house I would enjoy it as much as I did. But I was like, I love being a homeowner. Like, I love the independence of it. And I love being self-sufficient. I mean, I'm single. I enjoy knowing that I can do a lot of things myself. So I was like, I can clean gutters and I can put up pictures on walls and install shelves and do anchors and paint, and I've switched up most of the lighting in the house. So I was like, I put in new ceiling fans that weren't antique brass because ew. And yes, they were like all antique brass. It was like one of the first things I did. I needed had one of my coworkers who I cat sit for come and help me do because I just needed a second set of hands to do those. But yeah, I was like, I've loved having a home. I was like, I've redone most of the front garden. Eventually I'm going to need to tear down. I have an exterior garage, which is, I've explained it to people that literally everything is wrong with it. Like, there is not a single right thing about that garage. Like, it's, so the fence that goes around my property, the opening to the fence, for one, you can't fit a car through it. 2, it doesn't open to a garage door. 3, there is no, like, cement driveway that leads to the garage doors. 4, the garage doors are broken. 5, the whole thing is on a asphalt pad, not concrete, and it's cracked. 6, the ceiling height the ceiling height is like 7.5 feet, so it's a really short ceiling. Yeah, it needs to have taller ceilings. The roof is done. The siding is it has asbestos siding on 2 sides of it, and it's of course cracking, and like just everything is wrong with it. I cannot, like, every time I think about it, I was like, oh, we could just, fix a garage door. But like, there's 7 other reasons I can't use that garage for a car. So I was like, I guess my next goal is I tend to aim for goals and try to hit them. But my next goal is to pay off the house and then start saving up for tearing down and redoing the garage. So let's see how that goes. Oh, you get some of my head in here. Yeah, I'll leave it. But yeah, I was like, that's I guess the next thing on my list. I was like, I've also wanted to add, I have one kind of fireplace stove in my living room. Or not my living room, my dining room has this like beautiful little fireplace kind of stove. And I do want to put another one in my living room, little gas fireplace. And then there's a window that I want to replace between my kind of breezeway, quote unquote, area, and that has my coats and shoe storage. It's kind of you enter the house through that to my living room, as my living room's a little dark. I want to replace it. It has a stained glass window, and I just want to do a clear glass window in there. Yeah, I was like, I love that stained glass window, but it just needs more light in there. But yeah, one day I'll get to those. I love a good work in progress. So yeah, and of course I also want to add like a gas little fireplace upstairs in my like bedroom area, which means I would have like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath house with 3 fireplaces in it, and that seems redundant, but I still want it. Is it terrible to want it? But yeah, I swear that there's always something to do with a house, and I've always heard the adage that the second you're done with renovating a house, you sell it and you get a new one. And I was like, no, that's not how I want to do it. So yeah, I guess it's a little bit about my home and how I got a house as a frickin' single income. It's really hard. I genuinely don't know how people do it. I don't know how I did it. And I was like, but I did. I have goals. I go and I hit them. So, and I was like, I guess that would be my advice for today. Is I was like, if you have a goal that you want to hit, you need to make that a goal. Make it a set marks to go hit it. I was like, you can't just have like, oh, maybe one day I want to get a house, save $100 here and there, and eventually I'll get a house. That's not how it works. You have to sacrifice a lot and save a lot. And that means you have to forego some things that you want right now in order to save enough money in order to go and do big things. And I was like, I know that's hard. I'm not naturally someone who's amazing at saving. I want to spend it all. It is very unnatural of me to want to save money, but I do, mostly because I've learned that that's necessary, and mostly because I need to be self-sufficient. Something I pride myself on. But I'm running out of time, so I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. I very much appreciate it.